Hello, grade forensic. How are you today? I hope that you are all okay and feeling great. So, before we are going to start, please get ready with yourself, prepare your module, and one ball pen. What we have this time is our learning module Science 4. Okay, so this is our module now, learning module Science 4 Quarter 1, Week 2, and Week 3. Again, let me remind you that this learning module Science 4 is intended for Week 2 and Week 3. So if ever that you are not yet done studying in your learning module in Science 4, you may still have time to study or to answer all the activities in the next week or in the week 3. Okay, so before we are going to proceed to the next page of our module, do not forget to write your name in here, the address or the location of your house, grade level, just write it here for, and the name of your school, of course, we have Tagum Yushu School, and the name of your teacher, Ray D. Montesilio. And now, kids, let's proceed to the next page of our module. In this page, we have our objectives because you are expected to evaluate whether changes in materials are useful or harmful to one's environment, and also tell each picture if it is physical or chemical change. Then, the reference that I am using in this lesson coming from Science Wonders book 4 can be found on page 45. Alright kids, in this video, we will be learning about changes in materials. Now let's explore. Okay, let's explore. In here, we can read that materials exist in three forms. Remember that kids, that materials really exist in three forms. First, we have solid. Second, we have liquid. And the third, we have gas. Again, we have solid, liquid, and gas. These forms can change from one form and to another. Now, there are factors that bring about changes in materials. There are two factors that bring about changes in materials: the temperature and the pressure. Again, there are two factors that bring about changes in materials. First one, temperature. Second, pressure. What is temperature? When we say temperature, has something to do in changing materials from one form to another. It involves heating because heating changes from solid to liquid and liquid to gas if there is a temperature. Next, when we say pressure, change the states of matter by forcing out the moisture in the materials. Again, there is really pressure, or we can consider it as the moisture in the materials. Now, we will consider in this video, we will consider the two kinds of changes that may happen in materials. Okay? And there are two. Since all matter change, there are generally two kinds of changes that may happen to any material or substance. These are physical change and chemical change. Again, two kinds of changes that may happen in materials. We have physical change and chemical change. Now let's have first physical changes. When we say chemical changes, um, you can cut a piece of paper into pieces. You can bend a ruler, but still a ruler. You can hammer a nail in a piece of wood, but still it's a wood. And then you can also press some leaves inside a book, but still when you open the book, the same material. It's just leaves, and then you can pound uh, a piece of chalk with a stone. Still, it's a chalk. You can transfer a candle from one holder to another. The paper, ruler, nail, leaves, chalk, and candle all underwent changes in size only. It's changed only in shape and form. Okay? So that is what we call physical changes. Next, a change in appearance of a material but not in substance, that is called physical change. Again, when we say physical change, it doesn't change in substance. Rather, it's just only change in appearance. Okay. Now, changes in temperature. When we say changes in temperature, changes in temperature can cause a physical change, just like evaporation, condensation, melting or liquefying, freezing or solidification, and sublimation are changes in temperature that cause physical change. Okay? So, like for example, evaporation, it can really cause physical change. Okay? When we say evaporation, it can cause physical change. This process is a physical change from liquid to gas or vapor. Liquid becomes water vapor when you boil it. Vapor or steam mixes with air in the atmosphere. Just like, for example, we have here a rice cooker. So when you cook rice, evaporation happens. Just like this one. Okay? As we can see, uh, just we can just only observe like it's a kind of smoke, but rather this is now a form of water vapor. Okay? From liquid, from water, changes into vapor or small particles of water. Okay? So observe that there is steam coming out when you open the cover of the rice cooker while it is boiling. Okay? So that's it. Another is when you place drops of alcohol in your hands, they evaporate. Okay? They will change into vapor. The liquid in your hands will change into vapor or a small particles going to the atmosphere. Next, wet clothes hang under the heat of the sun. It dry up easily because the rate of evaporation is faster uh, when there is more uh, heat. Again, it will dry up easily because the rate of evaporation is faster when there is more heat. Next is condensation. When we say condensation, this process is also a physical change. Why physical change? Because uh, the process is from gas to liquid. Okay? Again, from gas to liquid. Condensation is a process where gas loses heat and changes into liquid. Just like this one example. Observe a glass pitcher with cold water in it. The outside part of the pitcher is wet and then water droplets form. Okay, here, water droplets form. That is now condensation. The process of condensation is noticeable like when you place a spoon over a cup of hot water, water droplets form. Just like for example in here, when you place a spoon over a cup of a hot water and then water droplets form in here. Okay? Form. Mm. Next, melting or liquefying. This process is a physical change also from solid to liquid. Melting or liquefying happens when a substance or a material absorbs heat energy. Shapes of objects change when they melt at room temperature. So, as you can see, we have our example here, ice cubes. from solid, okay, ice is a solid, and then changes into liquid. Okay? When you leave ice cubes under the heat of the sun, in a few minutes, they will return to their original state, liquid water. Okay, so that's it. Another thing is when you bring out a can of ice cream from the refrigerator, it slowly melts when you place in a warm place. Okay? So when the ice cream melts, it's the same, still it is an ice cream. Okay? It's just on the changes is only the appearance or the physical itself. Okay, now next, but not all solids melt at room temperature. Candles also melt only when heated. When heated, so the candle will melt. Just like this one. Gold, iron, and bronze are metals that melt by a very hot bluish white flame. Okay? They, they will melt with the hot bluish white flame. Next, iron melts at more than 1000 degrees Celsius. So that is also example of physical change because it's just only changes their appearance. But still, it's an iron. Next, freezing or solidification. From the word what is solidification? From the word itself, solid. In Bisaya term, nigahi siya. Okay. Next, the process of physical change from liquid to solid, it is the exact opposite of melting. 0 degrees Celsius is the temperature at which a substance changes from solid to liquid. Melting points is equal to freezing point. Heat is removed in the process water freezes at a 0 degrees Celsius. Some materials even freeze or solidify faster than water. So when liquids are cold, they develop into shapes and forms they solidify. Meaning in Bisaya term, solidify mugahi na siya. Okay? Next, when placed inside a freezer, liquids such as cooking oil, vinegar, water, and milk solidify. Again, in Bisaya term, kung imong ibutang ang sa sulod sa freezer ang liquids, parehas anang cooking oil, vinegar, water, mugahi siya. That's it. Next, what is sublimation? When we say sublimation, this process is also a physical change. Why? From solid to gas. Uh, it will not undergo through liquid. They will change directly into gas from solid. For example, the ice cubes. The ice cubes, it will change directly into gas. That is what we call sublimation because it will not undergo anymore in liquid. Supposed to be it will undergo from solid, next liquid, then next to liquid gas. But in this case, it will change directly from solid to gas, and that is what we call sublimation. Okay, without passing the liquid state. That is now what we call sublimation. Just like for example, dry ice is solid carbon dioxide. It will disappear when set aside. When you check the place where you put the cubes of dry ice, there are no traces. The place is not wet. Okay. Ice cream vendors place dry ice in boxes of ice cream to keep it solidified. In Bisaya term, munang gibutangan niya og mga ice sa kilid ang iyang ice box para to keep nga ang ice cream gahi lang gihapon. So that's it. Another example is the mothballs are also sublime. Why it will sublime? When we observe what happens when you place mothballs in cabinets to drive away cockroaches. After some time, the mothballs become smaller and smaller until they are gone. Okay? As you can observe in your cabinet, it will become smaller and smaller until they are gone. Now next, after the uh, now let's proceed to our chemical changes. So this is our second changes of materials. First, we have physical change, and second, we have chemical change. Now, what is chemical change? When we say chemical change, is a change in the composition or automatic makeup of material or a substance. So it is one or more new substances are formed during a chemical change. Again, when we say chemical change, it is one or more new substances formed during a chemical change. Okay? Chemical changes also happen inside your body every day. When you digest food, chemical changes take place inside your body. New substances form from the food you eat. Mm. Okay, so here are some examples like heating, burning, rusting, cooking, decaying, light, and solution in water and vinegar cause a chemical change. Okay? Example of the chemical change, I repeat, heating, burning, rusting, cooking, decaying, light, and solution in water and vinegar cause a chemical change. Now in heating, when sugar is heated, it starts to melt. Bubbles can be seen popping out. A black residue is left on the pan. This black residue is carbon, and water is given off as water vapor during evaporation. As what we observe after cooking, a black residue is left on the pan. Okay? That is a chemical change. One of the example of chemical change. Another one is burning. When burning paper and wood, the two materials undergo chemical changes. Why? The molecules of these substances break up and combine rapidly with oxygen in the air. Just like, for example, spontaneous combustion. What is spontaneous combustion? When we say spontaneous combustion, when you see when during burning, energy is given off in the forms of when you feel that there is a heat, when you feel that there is a light, a smoke, heat, and ashes are produced. That is what we call spontaneous combustion. Okay? This is also an example of chemical change because when you observe during burning from wood, it will change into ashes. Okay, into ashes. So that is chemical change. It will not, it cannot be called anymore as a wood because it is already changes. It is already changed. Next, wood changes to ash and gases. The ash left is a soft gray powder that cannot burn. Okay. Another, when a can is placed over a lighted candle, soot is firm under the can. Hmm. Here, an example. Next, rusting. Rusting also is an example of the chemical change. In in Bisaya term, when we say rusting, katong mga iron or mga puthaw or mga lata nga nangataya na. Taya na sila. Okay. When metallic materials or puthaw or mga lata such as iron are left around for some times. Oxygen and moisture in the air combine with the metal, so rusting takes place. Okay? So the substance may change. Okay, the chemical may change. There will be a chemical reaction. Then, some statues are made of copper, just like this one. It is made up of copper, but they are no longer copper colored like When they were new, they become green after some time because a chemical change happened. So copper that is combined with the oxygen in the air, from the air, oxygen from the air, and then a new substance that make copper status green. Okay, like that. Then another example is cooking and decaying. Now, cooking and decaying are also a process that cause changes in a substances or the chemical change. When you cook a raw meat, it becomes smaller. And then spoiled fruits, vegetables, and raw meat decay. That is one also of uh, an example of chemical change. For example, from um, uh, from uh, the fruits, fresh fruits, and then it will turn into as spoiled or the vegetables and raw or any meat. When they will decay, the chemical will change. It cannot be eaten anymore. Okay. Next is the light. Okay, we have here a light. Light also causes chemical change. Why? When exposed to light, a film, this is a film. Okay, a film produces chemical change. Solutions like hydrogen peroxide are placed in colored bottles so light would not affect them. For example, when you have a new T-shirt color green, and then when you place it or when you place it direct the sun or under the sun, when you place it outside, it the color of your t-shirt, color blue, it will really fade because there will be a reaction, chemical reaction. It will fade. Okay. Next, solution in water and vinegar. A chemical change may also be caused by solution in water because when water is poured into baking powder, gas bubbles are formed. Okay? You may also try this one at home if you wanted to. Okay? It is a kind also of experiment. A chemical change may also be caused by solution in water. When water is poured into a baking powder, gas bubbles are formed. This is the reason why medicines and substances are kept and sealed in dry containers, free from moisture. Okay? So, solution in water and vinegar also in an example of chemical change. Now, we will learn in the next page of our module science words. In this page, we will be learning with the following words like matter, evaporation, freezing, burning, light, temperature, physical change, condensation, sublimation, rusting, solution in water, pressure, chemical change, melting, heating, cooking and decaying, solidification, cooling. Okay, those are the science words. Just let's try to familiarize the following words. In Bisaya term, imong timan-an ang mga science words nga gibutang ni teacher diri sa box. Now let's try this one, this activity. Activity A, identify each statement. Give the correct answer on the blank. So we are going to read the statement, each statement that this is uh, 1 up to 10, and then understand also. All answers can be found from the previous page of our module. Just understand our question. For example, bring about changes in materials. What do you think is the correct answer? You may also find it here. Okay? Mm. So you have to answer 1 up to 10. Write your correct answer on the blank or on the space provided. Next, activity B. Read and understand each statement. Just write only true or false. Okay, you're just going to read each statement 1 up to 10 and then understand the given statement and then just write it true or false on the space provided. Next, let's proceed to activity C. Tell each picture if it is physical or chemical change. Write your answer, physical or chemical, on the space provided. This is 1 up to 10. You're going to answer 1 up to 10 from the given picture. For example, this mixing Kool-Aid packets with water. So meaning you have substances that being mixed in the container. So one substance being mixed to another substance, so it will change into or form into another substance. It is not physical, meaning to say the correct answer in here. So I will just give you a bonus number one. Correct answer in here is it physical or chemical? Since you have two substances being mixed in one container and then another substance form, the answer is chemical change. Just write it here, chemical. Okay? Number one is bonus for you. Chemical. Okay, so that's it. So next, you will be the one to continue. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so that would be all, children. I hope that you have learned something in our science subject. Thank you for listening and God bless. Goodbye.